Good day, dear students, and welcome to the presentation of Life Orientation Life Skills 2. My name is Thaddeus Shukukuma, and I will be with you in a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the presentation, what I would like to let you know is if you go to your module, you'll be able to, at the very beginning, you'll be able to see the action verbs. Those action verbs are very important, and these are the action verbs that we use when we are drafting the questions for exam. If you have a very good understanding of these action verbs, then you will be able to deal with the questions. You will be able to answer the questions correctly. You will be able to actually give what is asked. If the question is asking you to describe, then you will end up listing. Then you are failing in your duty as a student. So therefore, go back, read them, get their definition and their meanings, so that you'll be able to deal with questions in a more professional and acceptable manner. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's look at this, because what I'm presenting to you is the content of the module. What is here is what is to be found in your module. So you just need to cement and for you to capture the concept and be able to deal with different types of questions in exam. Okay, so there are some important definitions that you need to know in life orientation and life skills too. Some are Passover. What is Passover? We all know what Passover is because it's in our module. Christmas, so these are some of the definitions that you'll be able to give if they happen to be asked in exam. Okay, Passover, Christmas, what is Good Friday, for example? What is Easter? What is Anno Domini? What do we mean by saying before Christ? What is humanity or humanness? And what is personal development? What is self-image? What are the ancestors? So these are some of the concepts that you should be able to capture and understand. And I beg you, don't limit it. Don't just give a little. If I say define Passover, then you just say Passover is, in few words. Sometimes you might not get a full mark. If it's 2 marks, then you only be awarded 1, and that's not what we want. So whenever you are giving a definition of the concept or of the words, so please give it in more detail. Okay. Moving on, you must also be able to give the concept of Holy Communion. This is not new. Some of you even take Holy Communion in church if you belong to a Christianity denomination. So you must be able to give the definition of the word Holy Communion, of the concept Holy Communion. And then this is more biblical. I know not all of you are Christians, but of course, since this is the subject that's introduced in your course, you are forced or you are obliged to go through and understand and explore more information that you'll be able to present in the exam. So the meaning of the word prosecution, what is it? Prosecution, if you are prosecuting, what are we doing? It's quite clear in your module. Crucifixion, if you're talking about crucifixion of Jesus, Jesus was crucified. What does that mean? So sometimes in these cases we are even allowed to go to the Bible and have a wider understanding because this is more detailed in the Bible. But of course, in your book, you are also given this. In your module, you must also be able to give what are the characteristics of Jesus. It's detailed, quite well detailed today. The Christians will understand quite well, because you know, if you go to church, you understand this better. What are the characteristics of Jesus? The meaning behind the saying love our neighbor according to the Bible, what is it? Because the Bible is teaching us that we should love our neighbor. In which way? What does that mean? What is really behind that saying of love our neighbor? So please, you need to explore more information when it comes to this. Just wait. Yes, those of you who live in Windhoek, perhaps you have seen a building written CCN. It's short for Council of Churches in Namibia. Okay, what are the roles of this organization in Namibia? So you should have this information. Prepare for this in your exam in case this question comes. The roles of the Council of Churches in Namibia. There's a building somewhere in Van Hyder that is CCN. And then moving on, ladies and gentlemen, the qualities and functions of inspirational or religious leaders. So, inspirational, you know, there are people that we are looking at. Everybody, you get inspired by an individual because of the characteristics, because of the way they carry themselves. You look up at them and say, oh, this person inspires me. So, some are inspired by inspirational leaders. Others are inspired by religious leaders. What are the qualities as well as the functions of these people? Maybe some of you are inspired by musicians. I know a lot of people those days were inspired by people like Michael Jackson. Some people are inspired by political figures. We talk about local musicians, the Gazers and the Dog and Exit and Lady May, you know, a lot of them. So the qualities, what we are talking about here are the qualities as well as the functions of the inspirational leaders, or perhaps religious leaders, church leaders, those pastors or other religious leaders that you name them. Okay. Then we talk about, you know, this traditional healers. They live with us. I don't know if all of them are genuine. Perhaps there are those that are fake ones. But what the book is saying, or your module is saying, there are traditional healers that contribute positively towards people's lives. How does that happen? Okay, please look at it and then you present it in exam if this type of questions happens to come in exam. One wonders, I know, in your community, in your rural community perhaps, or in your modern community or urban community, most of the traditional leaders are old people. Someone would sit and ask, but why? Can be the reasons that traditional leaders are mostly older people. Explore that with curiosity. Then you'll be able to find information why that most of the traditional leaders are old people. It's quite interesting. So, but your module will reveal that. But as I said, don't limit yourself to the book that is given to you, but you can also explore the net and find out why traditional leaders are mostly older people. Quite interesting. You will get interesting information that you also be able to present in an exam. I know you must belong to a certain culture everybody belongs to a certain culture in where you relate to, and in your culture you have your own way of carrying out the funeral ceremonies. How do you bury your loved ones once they have departed? So you have your own culture, from colored culture, for example, Damaranama culture. Perhaps we talk about Vambo culture, you talk about Kavango, how Hereros, how do you, each culture, carry or do or bury their loved ones, the funeral ceremonies. So the focus here, the funeral ceremonies. You should not only explore information on your own culture, but you should also have that curiosity to find out how do they do it, how do they carry out their funeral ceremonies in different culture, because you know yours quite well, but what about others? Because as a Namibian, you must be able to explore cultures, different types of cultures. So in exam, we need this if the question happens to come your way. At one point, as human beings, we lose our loved ones. They die. And sometimes we are there for others when they have lost, when they are grieving, when they have lost their loved ones. What kind of help can be given to someone who is grieving, who has lost someone due to death? What kind of help can be given? You name them. A person needs psychosocial support, a person needs emotional support, a person needs physical support, a person needs, for example, money, for example, to give, to make sure that they meet their needs, buying the coffin, for example. So you name them. So please go back to the book, to your module, then you'll be able to know what kind of assistance, what kind of help that can be given to somebody who's grieving. But mostly, you know, it's more on emotional support. But also, if you could give emotional support and the person does not have monetary terms to make sure that they give a dignified funeral to their loved ones, it won't help. Yes, it will help in that aspect, but you know, it needs to be combined to make sure that the person gets that necessary support. Moving on, what are the ways you can utilize or you can use in order to get involved with people who are sick, injured, or disabled? So sometimes we ignore to give just that little hand, that tap on the shoulder, that shaking of the hand, or just talking to someone. Because if the person is sick, the person needs our support. Whether you are a family, or you are a friend, or you are a stranger. So this person needs support. Or somebody is injured. You know, we are living in a society with moral decay. You find people are involved in a car accident. What do people do? They take their phones, record, take pictures, and they cannot wait to share this on social media. And one wonders, what are we trying to achieve by doing that? Are we now trying to be news breakers that, okay, you are the first person to find it, as if there's a trophy to be won? We are living in a very decayed society. The society is sick. Our concern is one, and it's not a healthy society where you find somebody is injured, but what you cannot wait is to take pictures and record videos of somebody who is dying, for God's sake, and you want to record and make sure that you upload it on social media. You buy a credit as soon as possible just to make sure that you are going to share these, and some of them are too sensitive. So what I'm trying to say here, ladies and gentlemen, what are the ways that we can get involved in a positive manner to help people that are sick, to help people that are injured? Instead of uploading pictures on social media, why don't you use your credit to call the ambulance or to call the police to come to the rescue of these human beings? So that's what we are trying to say. So, and this is what I want you to present in the exam. Disabled, for example. So we tend to ignore people that are on a wheelchair, not knowing that we don't know when we will be next. Today is someone, the next day is you. So this is the information that you can present here in this case, because it says what are the ways you can utilize or you can use to get involved with people who are sick, people who are injured, and people that are disabled. Then moving on, whenever you have a family, whenever you're having a family, so you have responsibility when it comes to finances. Having a family means having certain financial obligations or responsibilities, because they need to eat, they need to be fed, they need to be clothed, they need to be taken care of in different terms of needs. So this is what it means having a family. So explore more information on this aspect, then you will be able to present this in an exam or in an assignment, or just for you to understand what are your financial obligations. If you have a family, what should you do? You should provide for the family. And the challenges and consequences faced by single parents. So what are the challenges the single parents are faced with? And what are the consequences that are faced by single parent family? Sometimes if you are a mother and you have kids, these kids, they might lack a father figure. And these are the challenges that we are talking about. They might lack that aspect, and it might affect them. So the consequences, it might affect them in different ways. Even performance at school, performance in sport, performance, the way they carry themselves, because they are lacking that aspect. So these are the challenges. And what are the consequences? The depression and frustration, and you name them. So there are a lot of challenges and consequences faced by single parent family. What are the advantages of helping a fellow human being? What do you benefit? If for example, I was talking about helping out a disabled someone, helping out a person who is sick, helping out a person who is injured. After helping out, what advantages? Let me give an example. Last year, that was 2018, we had SOE's games, and we were traveling to the coast to participate in these sports. And there was an accident between Windhoek and Okahanya. And there was a child that was who survived the accident, because the father passed on in that particular accident, or the grandfather, I can't really remember. So now there was this lady that from Road Fund Authority, and she went and then took the child, because if the car is involved in that head-on collision, the likelihoods of bursting into flame it's quite high. So this person went to pick up the child. He did not take pictures like what we do and upload them on social media, but went to rescue the child. Somebody, after that, the person was interviewed and said, I have that self-satisfaction, that's the advantages of helping a fellow human being. Satisfaction that I have rescued this child, because this car, it was producing smoke, and the likelihood is it might burst into flame, and this life will be lost. So now saving a child from that, or saving any other human being from that particular instant, you feel you are satisfied and you feel like, oh, I have saved the life of a human being. But not like I have uploaded the pictures on social media. So it's the other way around. So we are talking about the advantages of helping a fellow human being in any way, not only in the accident. Somebody who doesn't have food, for example, you provide, and so forth, and so forth. You feel like, yes, oh, I have that satisfaction, and I feel happy, I feel satisfied, and I am a human being after all, because I have saved a life of a human being in any way. Okay, moving on, ladies and gentlemen, you should also be able to look at the characteristics of a good relationship. Characteristics. What are the characteristics of a health or of a relationship that you can say this relationship is good? The benefits of maintaining healthy interpersonal relationships. We talk about where we work, for example, this fighting and colliding with individuals. You need to maintain a healthy relationship, be it in the society, in the community, at work, at school, and so forth. And moving on, the factors that you can employ or that you can use in order to improve or to enhance self-image and self-esteem. This is also very, very important. So you need to look at those factors that you can make use of in order for you to make sure that you build that self-image, you build that self-esteem, you stand on your ground. And what are the ways to stop selfish attitudes in children? So children can be selfish, and if the child grow up in a selfish corner, will not be able to be a responsible and a better citizen of the land. So what are the ways that you can use in order to make sure that you give a stop to this? And the benefits of forgiving someone, sometimes we hold grudges for life and say, I will never speak to that person. What do you benefit if you don't speak to that person? Will you have that self-satisfaction? No. So we should look at now the benefits of forgiving someone. If you have forgiven someone, what will you benefit as an individual? Look at these benefits. Well, who doesn't get stressed? Everybody would say, will shake their heads and say no. Everybody gets stressed, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are ways that you can use in order to overcome stress. Preparing yourself for an interview, very important. So look at these aspects. How do you prepare yourself for an interview? So of course you need to get information about the company that has invited you for an interview. You must be able, to make sure that you have slept well, and explore more information about the history of that particular company inside out, just to make sure that you are ready for an interview. There are more information. Dressing, for example, having enough sleep, and so forth. So please explore this and be able to present it in exam if the question happens to come your way. Different rights. There are rights that we are referring to. For example, you must know the different rights. Talk about birth rights, adulthood, marriage, you name them. So there are a lot. You should study all of them and prepare, because you never know which one I will ask in exam. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally come to the end of this presentation. What I would like to tell you is just to prepare thoroughly for exam. Don't limit yourself to the modules, the module that you are given. But of course, what I can tell you is that you should revise all the units. Get, very, very important, the learning outcomes. That's where the secret is. The learning outcomes will guide you to make sure that you prepare for what aspects in exam or in that particular module. Very important, I emphasize that now and then. Please take note of all the action verbs. You should have an understanding of each verb. They are at the very beginning of your module. So they are listed there and their meanings are there. So if you understand the meanings of these action verbs, you will be able to answer the questions. Utilize your experience as a teacher or a student teacher and that you have, because sometimes some questions are general and they ask you to use the knowledge or the experience that you have. And once more, ladies and gentlemen, please do not leave any question unanswered. Answer all the questions. Best of luck, and you can contact me. Perhaps you might have questions that you want to ask or some clarities. So please, I'm reachable. My mobiles are 0811480977 or 0812531801. You can contact me Monday to Sunday, 8 to 18. But I would like also to encourage you to drop me emails, because an email, there's no way I will miss an email, but I might miss a call. Drop me an email. My email address is t_shikukumwa@yahoo.co.uk.